Going on, everybody? Sean here from Hammerhead. I'm with my buddy Gordon James, and he's back from the Canada 911 out in Winnipeg. He made it home safely, so we're going to do a little update video for everybody here. We're just going to hang out for a few minutes until we get some people in the room. If you wouldn't mind when you come in, hit the smash that like button so we can notify other subscribers that something's going on here. That would be appreciated. So, any case, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. Gordy's got the news, so I'll let him do the grand share of it. But I'm sure you guys were hungry for an update as to what was going on because I've been getting some messages from people wanting to know if Gordy was back, what became of the whole event. Some people were calling it a flop, which it really isn't. I don't think that's fair at all, but I'll let Gordy speak to that. Like I said, I wasn't at the event. I just heard from him, and people realized that there was a media blackout during that event. They had all the cell service and the internet communications down, and there was actually even some people that had their data stolen at the event. And the question I have for you guys is why? Who here thinks that that's first of all legal, or second of all lawful for them to go in there and screw with people's data like that, steal the data, and to shut down the internet so that people don't have a say? Now, getting some people in the chat. Hello, Valerie. Turnings by Turner. Hey, man. Sebastian P. from Germany. Hey, buddy. Christina's here. Fear Swag from India. Hey, we got Ann G in the house. So anyway, I'll let Gordy talk about it a little bit here. And that's just my phone in the background ringing, but don't worry about that. I'm not. They can leave a message. What's up, Gord?
Yeah. So anyway, that's the big thing. Like, let's just look at the blackout. Who authorized the blackout? Who told these service companies, whether it was TELUS or Rogers or whoever, Bell, whatever, who told them to shut down that the service is there? Like, I know it happened, I believe, Saturday morning. I was sleeping in the car, so Friday night I'm watching YouTube. As I'm going to sleep, everything was fine. When we get up Saturday morning, I try to go live, can't go live. I try to get connected on the YouTube, can't bring up YouTube, and then I start checking around, and everybody else has the same problem. So who authorized that blackout? And again, like, is that lawful? What right do they have to do that? There's no. They're actually doing the censorship bill as we speak now in Canada. It's in the Senate and they're discussing it, but they haven't passed. They haven't even passed any of their bullshit legal laws saying that they can censor. So who authorized that? That should be. And I've told the people, some of the other organizers, like, that should be a class action lawsuit because there was a lot of people that wanted that information. They wanted the truth from the event, and it was all going to be live streamed by me and hundreds of others, and people would have all been aware. But now we all got to try to relay this information third hand, and obviously people are going to forget some things and whatever, and that's just the way it is. But who authorized that? So there's the overreach of the government again, which people got to really understand. And then you got the B4F guys even mentioned that in their video, that we should be expecting to have this blackout, and that they'll use AI to hack into our phones and get our information while this blackout's taking place.
Imagine a freedom group asking for, like, encouraging that type of behavior.
Yeah, so on some level, they think that's okay for them to do that. Like, how is that okay to do that? Like, what right do they have to censor that? What right do they have to stop us from going, or any of these things? And I heard no verification, but I did hear there was a lot of rumors out there that some convoys actually got turned around. Why they would turn around, I don't know. But some people never made it because they weren't allowed to get there. They were shut down from the
scared,
travel.
Fearful. Yep.
Some people didn't go because they were scared. Some people saw military troops in the airport in Winnipeg, and that scared them off. And again, this goes back to all the fear mongering that was put out by V4F with no substantiation whatsoever. None of the things that they put out there was valid. None of them things happened. There was no mass arrest. There was no false flag event. The Emergencies Act never got invoked because of anything we done. None of these things that they were telling the public for months that was going to happen and just spoke about the other day happened. So where is their accountability when they talk about accountability and transparency? Where is it? You know what I mean? And their accountability was simply to send moles in there and try to figure out, what was going on, instead of coming and putting their own face in front of it and actually having a part of the conversation. and input into the meetings and bringing their ideas forward. Well, I guess they probably don't want to bring their ideas forward because they don't have any ideas or plans. But they didn't show up. POG, Police on Guard, didn't show up. Stand for the didn't show up. Action for Canada didn't show up. All these groups across the country here in Canada that are taking all kinds of money from people, pretending to be freedom groups.
They had the opportunity right there. They were asked to come to the table. They didn't come to the table. They could have said whatever they wanted. They could have got their speech across. They could have had their plans brought out to the public. All their ideas could have been brought forth, and people would have been eager to hear it. But instead, they just decided to ignore the whole thing.
Right. And then you got the Noble Bard, so this young fella, and he's kind of a little bit off a little bit, but he's a good guy. He was there. I met him. He was sent there to be a spy for V4F, and he's outed them on his own Telegram channel. And he said right in the very beginning, if you watch his videos, he's a little loopy, but he said he offered to go there with a face to be their representative, to speak their plans, to talk about what they wanted to do, to be like upfront about everything. And they were like, no, we'd rather you go as a covert operative. So you have a freedom group that's wanting to send spies into a freedom meeting. Like, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. And then if you listen to their video again, and I mentioned this before, they talk about everything that we were doing out there was nothing more than to distract V4F, the police, and the government. So in one sentence in their video, they basically admit that they're working with the government. That's the way I perceive that. And I don't know how else you can perceive it. So anyway, them guys are really, they're not valid. I don't really care about what they do or not do. I know they don't have any plans. They haven't retaliated to anything that I've said. They haven't brought forth any discussions to explain their mindset or where they were coming from. The event, slow getting started. Basically, I was getting frustrated because I traveled across there, I'll be completely honest. And basically, it was a lot of speeches, kind of turning into what people would think was a rally. It was just a lot of speeches, and people were talking about the stuff that we are all aware of, we already know. And so into Saturday afternoon, I went over to Marcus, and I was like, bro, what the hell is this? Like, where's the meetings? Where's the planning? I didn't come here for this. And he's just like, this is calm down. He explained it to me. And it was hard to explain everything because it's a busy area. But the plan was simply for all the people that were showing up there, I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the problems and the issues and whatnot, and that's fine. And then the meetings were taking place into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, moving forward into Sunday, and that's how it played out. There was a lot of fireside meetings, people at the little campfires talking amongst themselves with ideas and bringing things forward. And Saturday night, we had a big meeting. It was going to be just some organizers and stuff talking to try to really cement down some ideas and plans, but then the public thought we were doing something sketchy, so we opened it up to the public because that was not what we were trying to do. We were just trying to cement some ideas, and we opened up to the public. It became a little bit cumbersome, a lot of people trying to talk about some things that don't apply today like they would have 6 months ago, so it was difficult. But we had a lot of good talks, and what that showed me, the good thing about what that showed me was that everybody that was there wasn't there for a rally. They were there for solutions. And they were all coming forward with their ideas of solutions. And there was lots of different solutions coming forward. A friend that I met out there is talking. He's put some information out now. He's talking about trying to bring the United States and Canada together at the borders with military and police and all them kind of people, and trying to make a stand that way. So we'll see how that goes. We know about the women going to Ottawa this weekend.
Yeah, that's the big thing right now.
And they're going there this weekend. Sipico is not going to be there this weekend. So what happened in that scenario, Sue Chief or whatever, passed away just about the end of the conference, the meeting. And so she's in Winnipeg at the legislature, and they're burning a sacred fire in respect to the Sue Chief.
Who's Sipico for those that are watching that don't know who she is?
Yeah, so she's a Sipico story, from what I understand, and people can correct me if they find out other information. I'll just give you what I know. So she, Cree, I think, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, she's a seal holder for the Indigenous community here in Canada. Her mother took her into the woods and raised her in their own, Indigenous ways to protect her from the residential schools and things like that. She's met the Queen twice, once as a child and she ran away from her, and then once as an adult where she shook her hand and actually held her hand and would not release it. And the Queen basically, like the Queen looked at her and says, "You're the one," and that was it for that. And she's the one also that addressed the Pope, sang "O Canada" or the national anthem and creed to the Pope, and then told him what she told him, that he has no authority here, and hi hi at the end of it. And hi hi does not mean thank you. Hi hi means I have nothing more to say. And she turned her back in her full regalia and walked away. For people that don't understand the power of that, women are not even allowed to address the Pope. There was no issue there. She had no issue. And they didn't even have tickets to this event. Certainly not the VIP tickets, but the Spirit was guiding them as she explains it. And they kept getting pushed closer to the front and closer to the front and closer to the front. And they ended up right there where they needed to be to deliver the message. If you watch that video of Sipico addressing the Pope, after she speaks, you see that he nods. So to explain that, nodding is acknowledgement. And he knew what she said, even in her native tongue, because in the Vatican, they teach these priests to speak that language because that's how they deal with the Indigenous. They have to know what they're saying. So she has her guy, Eagle Eye. He's a law expert for her. He was arrested twice, and she went to the police station and told them to release him, and both times that they did release him. So what's going on with them right now is, first off, they're burning the sacred fire for the Sioux chief. That's 4 days. And because she's a seal holder, she has to be with the fire for the 4 days. That's in respect to his passing. And also they're trying to force an eviction from the legislature in Winnipeg. So anybody that's in that area, go to the legislature in Winnipeg and support them if you can. Just stand united with them. They're fighting that. And then I'll find out some more information this evening about when they're moving on into Ottawa to stay in the teepees there. And for people that don't understand what's going on in Canada and that Parliament's locked down tight. And if you go back to some Canada Day videos, you'll see where they were scanning kids with their little scanners to make sure these kids wanting to get on the lawn didn't have weapons. It was it's all fenced and locked up tight. So for her to go there and set that set them teepees up there with the 5 clan mothers on the grounds of Parliament, that's a powerful statement. And then we're just kind of, everything's on hold until that happens, because that's the peaceful resolution. If they come at her with force, of course, that's really going to push the envelope. It's probably going to be a huge mistake, and it's going to push us into a messy scenario. There's all kinds of Indigenous communities that are just waiting to see what happens, and they'll react as needed. The men are going there to stand there to protect. The women will be setting up the teepees, and that's basically what's going on with the planning. As far as the arrests, I know there's big concerns about the arrest, and we talked about that, and it's kind of difficult to explain why they didn't happen. Part of the issue, I'm not attacking anybody because I don't know what their thought process is, but Christopher James decided not to attend the event, and his decision was based on his paperwork and not receiving the $250,000 that he figured he needed to see in correspondence. I think that was a mistake to not go there, because that's the people. We were the people.
He didn't need an invite. He had an open invitation to appear there.
Yeah, and we were the people that are supporting him. And I think he got to step outside of the computer and go out in the real world. And maybe he's afraid. I don't know. I know he had some issues in Ottawa, some threats, and that could be the case. But he wouldn't have been in a safer environment. I don't really know why he didn't come. I disagree with that completely. I still believe that is a strong, powerful statement to make them arrest, and I believe in what he's talking about. Making them arrest is our right.
I think it's the way forward, man, really.
I do have to question if there's some ego getting in the way of that. And to set down there's like some strong common law people in this country, Eagle Eye being one of them, Doug Forrest, who Christopher has also attacked, I hear. I haven't seen any of the lately. But Doug Forrest is very strong at it. I think these people, myself, to come to a table, because when you deal with common law, you have to have your I's dotted and T's crossed. You can't make one slip up, one mistake, because as soon as you do that, you get knocked back into their jurisdiction with the dead entities and the legal jurisdiction.
You're the vessel again.
You have no rights. So the paperwork to have these arrests be done has to be sound. I don't believe that Christopher's is sound. Most people that I talk to don't believe it's sound. So to come to a table with a bunch of other common law minds and make that foolproof paperwork and then move forward with the arrest, I think you got to step outside of your own self, and you got to realize, like Marcus did, this is bigger than me, bigger than any of us. It's huge, right? But I think the Indigenous communities joining with us now with Sipico, I think that's powerful. I think that's going to be a light for the whole entire Commonwealth. And I say the Commonwealth because those are the countries that are really getting hammered by all these ridiculous mandates and all the foolishness. And that's on purpose, because we're the ones that are under the control of the Crown and the Vatican and all the stuff that's going on. So if we can be the light here with the Indigenous communities and us joining together under natural law and the way things should be for men and women, then all of them other places can do the same. They can follow that lead. And there's always little tweaks and stuff in the common law world, whether it's in Australia or the UK or Ireland or Canada. They're all slightly different, but it's all the same thing. So you're going to have to make it work for where you're at. But this can be the light for everything. And I believe in what she's doing. And I'm certainly in full support of that, and bringing the Indigenous community together with us, the whites, if there's a lack of a better term. I think that's what we need. We need the unity. We need to stand together. And these freedom groups that aren't part of that, any freedom groups out there, so-called freedom groups out there that are trying to fix anything with inside the system, you got to question where they're coming from, because we can't fix it in the system. We cannot fix it legally. We cannot fix it politically, because both systems are corrupt to the core, and they're the driving force behind everything. So until we recognize that we have to step outside of that box and go back to our natural, inherent common law ways.
The laws you were born with, the ones that you came out of your mother with, those are the ones we're talking about. It's not something you put on a piece of paper, or it's not something you're given by a government or any other person. You're born with those rights. They're not privileges. The government wants to turn those into a privilege, your rights. And if you allow them to do that, they'll certainly do that all day long. And then they'll continue to trap you in the vessel, and then apply all sorts of levies and fines, saying that your rights that you were born with are privileges. They're not privileges, they're rights. And you can't be taken by anybody. Simple fact. They cannot be taken. Yeah. Anyone that's joining right now, please hit the like button. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, so they didn't give us the right, so they have no right to friggin' take them away from us. Like, it's that simple. So we move on from that. We're going. That's the route. That's the only route. Now, with that, there is a caveat that I have to explain, of course, because I do serve the Stand United documentation. And the Stand United documentation is legal documentation. It is in the legal world. It is, and they do have plans legally and politically down the road. I don't believe in them, and I've told them that from the go. I don't believe in that. What I believe in is the documentation. The documentation is sound.
It is sound.
The evidence is sound. The proof is sound. All of the not being given informed consent with Supreme Court rulings, the criminal codes that are being broke, the evidence from the actual manufacturers, all that's there. So the reason that I go with that is because I believe, and I've seen it with my own eyes, that will wake up some of these policy officers, and they'll start to see the light. And when we get them to see the light, then they will be with us. So what happens down the road when an action takes place? Let's say they attack Sipico on the Hill. We hope,
or the women that are going to be there in Ottawa.
So if that happens, and then these policy officers are getting the call out to go and deal with that, now they're going to have to look at themselves in the mirror, because now they have the knowledge, and they're going to have to make a soul decision, the spiritual decision. Am I going to be on the right side of this or the wrong side of this? And I do believe that some of them are strong souls, and they will be on the right side, which means they will be with us.
Absolutely.
But without us providing them the information, because we have to understand that they are wearing blinders and they're just following the corporation. And until they know what we're talking about, by us providing them the information, they can't make that choice properly. So that's why I do that, even though it is legal and political. But that's the only reason to wake up them officers. And I do see it in their eyes when I answer some of their questions about consent or this or that, or it's a public health matter, or it's a political matter. Whatever.
See, this is the reason why we're going to make sure that the RCMP in Garland Avenue or in Dartmouth, the headquarters for Nova Scotia, are going to get they're going to actually have to send somebody out to take those forms, because we're filing an official complaint, and we have evidence backed up by the Supreme Court of Canada that they've done wrong. So it's their job as an officer to come out and take that paperwork, and they have to do it. They're not going to have any choice. We're going to make sure they get it.
It's a dereliction of duty if they don't, for starters. And of course, then you got to go to the corporate and file complaints. We know that's not going to go a long ways, but we have to push the envelope. Sometimes I go in there and I'm dealing with them on a level of man to man, and I'm trying to reach them on that level. I'm not trying to make them.
Some of them were uncomfortable of us being there, and you could tell that.
You don't want them to be defensive at all, right? And I'm saying right out of the gate, we're asking for your help. We have evidence here of this. We're asking for your help. So then they drop their guard and you can talk to them, and that's fine that way. But there is going to come a time with some of these people that you got to push back, because they're not going to listen, no matter how you deal with them. And then you got to now you got to make them accountable. Now you are complicit. If you know what I mean, if you want to avoid that, you become complicit in all of these crimes. That's the reality. Doing your job is not.
Yeah, you can't say now after they receive those documents that, oh, well, we didn't know. Well, this is the paperwork that tells you that you do know. Right. All you have to do is take time out to look at it, read it, and research it.
Yeah, and the key with going to Nova Scotia headquarters is these documents are principal to agent and agent to principal. That will be brought up for sure, because that means if we serve these people at Nova Scotia headquarters, that within their own corporation, according to the law in their legal world, they are supposed to distribute these documents to all members of that corporation, the RCMP. That's the reality of it. Now, will I continue to serve local detachments? Of course I will.
I'll be right back.
However, that's the nature of that. So making mention of that. So when we go back, so what happened, as everybody mostly is aware, we talked to the dude there at the gate, commissioner. Initially, he wasn't in our favor. He thought we were anti so-and-sos, and that was okay. But we kept moving forward. We spoke with him. We were there for an hour and a half. Nobody come to see us. But by the end of the conversation, he came on our side, and he said, you know, I want you to get your paper served. I want to help you do this. So he gave me a number to call. I haven't called yet because I was on the traveling. Anyway, with the head office of the commissioners, which is in the same building, and we have to call. So we're going to try to call there, make an appointment to actually speak with somebody. But for sure, going down there, we will, the next time we go there, whenever day it is, we will speak with somebody. And if we are not speaking with somebody, then the tent will be set up on the green space out front, and I'm sure that will bring an officer out to deal with us. So they have a choice. You know, they're either going to speak to us, or we're going to make a scene, and then they're going to speak to us. And the scene will be a big scene. It shouldn't have to be that way, because, like I said, we were sent there from the Kingston detachment. That's the headquarters of the province. The crimes are being committed in the whole province, the whole country, the whole world. That's what their job is. We have every right to be there, and they have every responsibility to come out and speak with us. And I don't know why they were pushing back, but we're going to make sure that the documents get served and make sure they understand what they're all about and the power of the documents. And so moving forward on top of that, some of the folks that we have filing their complaints for not giving informed consent, injured folks, in talking to some people out there at the event this past weekend, you don't have to be injured. These are informed consent documents. So if you or somebody you know were misled into taking these, and now you're realizing everything about it, and you weren't given informed consent, you can go file your claim, because it's not informed consent. You weren't given informed consent, so your claim will stand. It doesn't have to be an injury. I do believe that everybody that's taken these are injured and they don't know yet, but you don't have to have a valid actual injury to do so. You just file your claim. So that's for Nova Scotia, and that's for Canada, and I guess wherever you're at, if you're in the country or you're in the province, you just find out what the file numbers are in your area, or if they've been served yet in your area. I really don't understand why nobody else in the province is seemingly able to serve these documents. Waiting for me or us or whatever to do it seems to be ridiculous. Although I know we do a good job, but it's quite an undertaking, and I don't know how you're supposed to afford to work and live and go through all that, because then in the evenings or the weekends when you're free time, supposedly free time, or you're available to do these things, the offices are closed, and it's very difficult to speak to somebody. So I don't believe in emailing or mailing the documents in. I think the conversation is more important, because that's when you get to the officers. I've had some good chats with some officers. Made a mistake when I went to Churro on my way through serving there, and a gentleman's name got brought up in the video. So I've since taken the video down as per his request, because his private information was put out. It wasn't by me, it was by a friend of mine, and it was not done with malintent. It just kind of happened to come out off the cuff. He called me and asked me to remove the video. I removed the video, and I had no issue doing that. I completely understand his privacy, but by the same token, he wasn't angry. He was more than supportive. This officer, and he wished us the best or what have you. So that was fine. But coming out of the meeting for the weekend, the biggest thing is the natives in Sipico, and you really got to research into Sipico. It's not hard to find any of her information. She's a seal holder, and to explain that, so when she comes with 5 clan mothers, 5 clans being a tribe, and a tribe is a nation. So 5 clan mothers in Sipico is basically the Indigenous nation coming to Ottawa to set up the teepees and erect the teepees and take back the land. And when you combine this with what's going on now with the royal family and the Vatican calling in all the debts and calling to have all the money transferred to their banks by the end of September, this is affecting the entire world. I think the timing it couldn't be any better.
You guys know, like you heard about what JT wants to do here in Canada is he wants to take Canadian cash currency and turn it into a cryptocurrency that's only accessible by a digital ID system. So I just want to speak just for a second on the digital ID, how bad this is for Canada and for Canadians. Don't do it, guys. It's the final nail in the coffin is what it is. Those of you that took the carrot, right, that get duped into that, or else you'd lose your jobs or your house or your livelihood or your family or your whatever it is, they're going to hold that same power against you to take this digital ID. If you don't, you won't be able to use your money. You're not going to be able to have your job. And if you do have your job, you're not going to be able to spend your money. Don't do it. I'm telling you, we'll find a way. We're going to find a way to get what we need. Okay. Don't worry about it. We'll create our own system separate from their system, our own black economy, our own black backdoor way of doing a barter system, whatever we got to do. Don't do it. Don't take that digital ID. It's if they do that to us, the game's almost over before we've even begun. Okay, we don't need this digital ID system. Let's just tell them to pound sand and get out of our way. Okay, we're not going to do it.
It's all about control. And there's a bunch of videos leaking about that, worldwide guys talking to central banks and whatever, and they're admitting it's about control. They have total control over what you can purchase, when you can purchase, if you can purchase, and that's the whole plan.
They decide, not you.
It's not about anything. It's not to benefit us at all. It's just to give them total and complete control. And so the example we were talking about earlier before we come on. So when I traveled across the country, and the thing about that is, like, it's a beautiful country, man. And we're standing by idly letting these people destroy everything in it. And it's amazing to me that people aren't rising up. It really blows my mind that people aren't rising up and are accepting it. But anyway, I'm traveling across the country, and it's cash everywhere I go. That's all I use is cash.
No record.
As a matter of fact, I don't even have a bank account, because Revenue Canada decided they wanted to take ownership of that, because I supposedly owe them some money that they figure, and they don't have contracts with me or any of these things.
The vessel decided. They settled the vessel.
So it's all cash. Everything I do is cash. But what does that mean? They can't trace that. That's the issue with cash. They can't trace it. If I was using even a debit card, not a digital ID, they can track everywhere I was, the whole entire way.
The time, the date, right? Everything.
Where I stopped to get fuel, or did I buy water, or did I buy something to eat, or what? It's all information. This is an information war. That's what they want. And they put all this information in, and then they know our habits. They know everything. They want total control. That's what it's boiled down to. So cash is king. I tell everybody cash is king. Nobody recognizes it. They still don't even use your debit cards anymore. Like
cash, carry cash, take enough out for the week.
Even when I had a bank account, I would only leave enough money in there to make payments of like insurance or whatever it was that I had payments coming out. I would never leave my money in there because they use it to make money. And when the system crashes, if you're not aware, they have every right to take your money. It's not yours. When you deposit your money, you basically are giving it to them.
Ownership.
They own it. And when shit goes bad, they'll claim it. Don't think they won't claim it.
Look what happened in Venezuela and those places down there. They took all the money overnight.
This is happening.
And people got so hungry down in Venezuela that they started eating farm or zoo animals down there.
And there's people attacking the banks now to get their money across the world. Like people are going. Now, that's a tricky slope because if we do that too much, then we almost create the crash. Because the banks, but by the same token, you can't leave your money in there because they will take it. So it's like it's a balancing act, and that's what they got us doing all the time. What do we do here? Because if we do this, we cripple ourselves this way. But if we do this, we're crippled this way. You see what I mean? They've planned every detail of this operation that they've got going on, and they're trying to have us implement what they want us to implement. That's reality. So we have to be very careful. But if I was a man of means, which I'm not, and I had an excess amount of money in the bank, I would be turning it into gold and silver and getting it the hell out of there.
Or tangible goods that you can barter for what you need.
Yeah. And the only thing that survives, the only thing that survives actual economic collapses is not only like tangible goods, but actual assets. Whether it's buildings or properties or business, whatever, an asset will always survive the crash.
Yes, it will. But the problem is with their Agenda 2030 is that they plan to take all those assets,
right?
All that private property, your private conveyance, your vehicles, your property, your houses, your savings, everything.
But we're not letting them do that. That's for sure. Like, I don't know how they're going to come and take our vehicles, or I don't know how they're going to come and take people's houses. We're not
by making the property tax so high you can't afford to pay it.
Right, but then again, that's where you got to go back into common law, natural law, and allodial title, and all these things. And people got to get on top of this before they come and do that. They make property taxes so high, but who are these property tax individuals?
Well, guys, I hate to say it, but the good, not necessarily the good times forever, but the good times and the easy times for now are over. It's going to get hard, okay, and you better get hard with it. And I mean that in the nicest, most loving way I can say it. You're going to have to get hard. You're going to have to get not lazy. If people are lazy, you're going to have to break that trend if you're going to have any chance of getting by. Yeah. You're going to have to become a warrior, a fearless, and you're going to have to be bold, and you're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to get up every day and fight for your survival. You know, and you're going to have to garden, and you're going to have to do physical labor and all sorts of things that you never thought you could do, but you got the power inside you to do it. You just got to realize that you have that power and go forward with it. And I or Gordy or anybody else that we know will help you with that. If you don't know how to do something like that, reach out. We don't have all the answers, but we have some of this puzzle already figured out, right?
You got to know who you are. That's the biggest thing I can tell anybody. You got to know who you are. You really got to know who you are. And then you got to stand in that truth, no matter what comes at you. You can't be knocked off.
Bottom line, God wins. Yes, Menacing Muskrat, I agree with you. But while we're here, we have a duty to do his work with our own hands and our own minds and to help others.
Yeah. So Eagle Eye was speaking out there. I have a bunch of videos of some of the speeches, and I haven't posted them yet. You'll be able to follow them on my friggin' Facebook or whatever. I don't think I'll get a chance to do them all on BitChute because it takes too long to upload them all, and there's a lot of them, but anyway, when he was speaking, and he is the common law guy for Pacifico, he's the law guru for her. When he was speaking, there was like 12 eagles flying overhead together. 12 eagles.
Cool.
You never see that. You never see 12 eagles together. Like, that's just unconscionable. And so me coming home with radio silence to a degree, as much as possible. Pretty sure I had some tails on me for a while. And then there you go. What is that the country we want to live in? Is that the world we want to live in, where you can't freely travel across the country to meet some other people who are freedom-minded with no malintent, nothing going on, no false
They threw Tamara in jail for 46 days on a suspicion of mischief, and she was never charged with it. So they just chucked her in there. Same with Pat King. Suspicion of mischief, right? So they're just making stuff up and just throwing people into the dungeon for no reason. And what does the grand majority of people do? Nothing. They just think it's hunky-dory. It's just great.
So
right?
coming back, knowing I had a tail at one point, and there was a couple of us in a convoy for a bit, but then we split up, and I was on my own basically from Sudbury the rest of the way through, which is a long way through Ontario. I don't get nervous, but I was conscious of what was going on. I was a bit nervous for sure because they make everything up. If I get pulled over on a simple traffic stop and they label me as this, whatever they want to do, I'm arrested. I'm locked up. I know this is what they're doing. It didn't happen. Is there some paranoia? Maybe, perhaps. That's okay. I'll own that. But consciousness and being aware. So I was quiet. I was radio silent. I didn't want them to know where I was at. I drove 19 hours out of the 24-hour day on purpose to get through Ontario.
And as a matter of fact, I even made a false post just to throw people off the scent, to say that he was someplace like a whole province away that he wasn't, just to get people off the scent in case that's what really was going on.
Right. And that is the reality, though. They could literally just take me at their will with no jurisdiction, no crimes being broken, nothing illegal or unlawful has happened, but that's what they do. And I was aware of that. So, and then how do I deal with a traffic stop? First off, I'm from Nova Scotia. I'm driving a car from New Brunswick, and I'm in the middle of Ontario. Well, the question is, well, what are you doing here? Well, why is it their business why I'm here?
Exactly right.
It's not their business why I'm here. But as soon as that conversation begins that way, now we have issues. And I have to stand strong on that and everything. So the only answer I had at the time was I would just go Facebook Live if I got pulled over. And hopefully at least that way, if something went bad,
well, I would know that he's in the clink and I got to do something.
I would know. Because if they just take me, they don't have to, when they label me a certain way, they don't even have to tell my people. These are the laws that they've done. And since the 911 thing happened and that big crime happened against the American people with all these supposed safety laws, they're not. They're controlled. They just take us and do whatever they want with us. So anyway, I finally got back. I'm glad I got back. It was a long journey coming back, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking coming back. But I made it. I didn't have any issues, and I was just conscious of what could happen. That, again, is part of the radio silence, why it's taken this long to get the message out to you folks. And
we're at the tip of the spear, guys, and that is a very real concern for myself as well, because Gordy and I have gone public with this, right? So we're out there all across the world now. Not that we're like super famous or nothing, and we don't want to be, but nobody else is preaching the message. They're not telling things the way they are, like the way we tell you. I don't think. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be here on a Saturday afternoon, would you, listening to what we're saying live? Because they're not telling you what the real truth of what's happening. We're going to tell you the truth, whether it means we get thrown into the lion's den or not. I'm just going to sit there grinning like Daniel and praying that the lions don't tear me to friggin' pieces. And I know they won't, because I got the full protection and the full armor of Jesus Christ on my body and on my soul every day of my life. And I pray for it actively. And you guys should too, because he will help you.
That's our reality now, though. We have to be hyper aware, even here at home. It's still not safe, but I'm comfortable now because I'm in my environment. But simple traffic stops and talking to people about this stuff, like, you can't even trust these simple traffic stops anymore. You don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying the police are all bad either, because that's not the case. That's not where I'm going. I'm just saying, if you're in this and you're in front of it and you have a face and you own it, as I do, Crow does, it is what it is, and you've got to be hyper vigilant.
They're desperate right now because the narrative, believe it or not, is crumbling and not in their favor. Right. So they're desperate, and desperate people will do desperate things to maintain power.
And who's putting the truth out?
Like, I think Marcus Aurelius said, one of his quotes was, "You'll know that a civilization is coming to an end when their laws get crazier and crazier." I think we're there, folks, aren't we?
Yeah. And it's the truth tellers that they want to suppress, right? So locking us up, it makes sense for their narrative. It's that simple, which is exactly why they shut down the entire service out there, so nobody could hear the truth. And all you were going to hear was speeches. There would be plans talked about. There was nothing secretive. But Daniel Nagase, the doctor who saved people, he saved 3 Canadians.
Yeah.
In the hospital.
He treated them with ivermectin or something.
That were on the verge of going out underneath the wrong protocol, and by sourcing ivermectin, he saved their lives, and he ended up losing his job because of that.
Get fired and lost his medical license or whatever.
He's been in court a bunch of times fighting with common law. He's made some mistakes along the way with common law, but he's learned. But he's a great man. To lose his job for saving lives. How do you fire a doctor for saving lives? But that's the world we live in today. That's what's happening. So people like him were out there, right? And the guys from the Coots border issue, and they're still in prison. They have no bail. They don't have these criminal records. They're not all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Pray for these people, guys. Pray for these people.
Conspiracy to murder a police officer when they had no weapons. They had nothing. They never had nothing. There was not any of that stuff happening. Conspiracy. But when you look at Ottawa and you look at what happened with the truckers, and they had snipers on the rooftops, those snipers, would they not be conspiracy to commit murder against an individual?
Yes,
None of them were arrested. These gentlemen, these farmers, are locked up with no bail, with no court until June or October of 2023. That's unjust. Not even bail. When you get mass murderers and pedophiles and all these people that are getting released under bail conditions, like they're, you know what I mean? So that's what we're up against, right? Anybody that's trying to do anything against this narrative, we're speaking the truth.
And just because it's scary doesn't mean we're gonna stop speaking, because I don't believe that's why we're here. I keep asking myself, why am I still here at this joint period of time? I should be dead 100 times over already, and almost did die a number of times in my life, and Gordy too. Why are we here right now? What is our purpose here on Earth? And I think this is it. I really do believe that with my whole heart. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even bother.
And I'm tired. I can tell you I'm tired. I don't want to be doing this stuff. I would rather not be doing this. I'd rather be getting my life back in order, back on track, and just living and going, you know what I mean, enjoying things. But how do you turn it off when you know? How do you stop? Especially when you look around and the majority of the people around
sleeping, asleep,
are not even doing anything. And the ones that even call themselves freedom people aren't even doing
too busy fighting for the crumbs from Longshank's table.
So I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why we can't all come together and unite and work together, because if we do that, it's over. And it can be instantaneous. It's as simple as if we just all not go to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, right? So if we just don't go to work tomorrow, everything stops. That's how much power we have. That's why I say we have to know who we are and own it. A few individuals can't do that.
But a nation can.
But all of us together can. Like, you know what I mean? It stops. Everything stops. And people don't understand how simple it could be. We don't have to go through all this. We don't have to go through this big fight. We just decide one day that, you know what, enough's enough.
The game's over.
And you stay home. You don't go to work. You know, what are you going to lose? There's nothing to lose.
Just go sit in the street. I said it before. Just go curl up on a ball and sit in the street.
Yeah, we have nothing to lose. And anything that you're afraid to lose by fighting, I promise you they're taking anyway. So that is evidence right there.
People are like, oh, well, I don't want to get on this list or get on that list. Listen to me carefully. If you've ever said anything against the government at all in the last decade, you're already on the list, bud.
Yeah.
All right. You're already on the list.
It's an information highway for sure. Anyway, the government's the issue. We have to have a de jure government. Sure, we need systems in place to run things. I don't think we need a government personally. I think
resource management
things. The people to control that kind of thing. And then what happens when you hire somebody to run your country or manage your country? If they do, or your business, I should say. But if they're doing a bad job, what do? You fire them. You replace them. As simple as that. There's no elections that keep them there for 4 years, and they got no accountability. But we need systems in place to take things over. But the government is what the problem is right now. And people buying into this oncoming election that's going to end up getting snap called with Pierre Poilievre or Maxime Bernier, whatever. They're all part of the Privy Council. The Privy Council is wrong. The Privy Council has 2 oaths to the crown and to each other.
It's just more of the same, guys. That's what that is.
It's all bullshit. The system is designed to enslave us. It's not designed to serve us. And until we recognize that and step outside of their box, their proverbial box that they put us in over decades of indoctrination, we're never going to achieve anything. That's where we got to begin to get the head of the snake. So, like, it is frustrating because they should be arrested. I believe Freeland and Trudeau should be the 2 that are taken down immediately, because I think she's worse than Trudeau.
Yep.
So if we get him and she steps into play, that's worse for us. But they need to be arrested. And the only way we can accomplish this is even us is by coming together. And why Christopher James isn't willing to work with people and have conversations with people is beyond me.
I have no idea what's going through his head.
I've been personally trying to talk to him for months, personally, since I've been on this journey with Marcus and his plan and what have you. And I haven't been able to make that contact happen. And I don't know why he doesn't talk to other people. He's right. His plan is sound, and that's the only plan you need. But there is other parts of that you need. The documentation has to be sound. Doug Force with the Zor governance system. That has to come into play because we still need things to roll along. We can't create a complete collapse of the whole society. So all these things fit, but we all got to come together and realize that none of us are bigger than this. None of us are. It's that simple. Without him at my shoulder, then I'm weaker, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's as simple as that. So none of us are bigger than any of this. And until we all realize that, any of the leaders or organizers out there realize that.
Look to your brother and sister on your left and look to your brother and sister on your right. And that's why you're doing it, for them and for their kids and their kids' kids and their kids' kids' kids.
I do believe we're at the tipping point, though, and I do believe we're going to win this. I absolutely believe that. Leaving there, all it is a matter of us putting the pieces in play. That's what I believe 100% is putting the pieces in play. Simple. Now we just got to do that. And I think Sipico and the Indigenous community and the tribes and the 5 clan mothers is powerful, more powerful than most people even understand. And when that happens, that is going to be the catalyst to everything, whether it goes bad and they attack them, or it goes good and we start getting real justice taking place. Either way, it's going to be a massive catalyst, because it's either going to make people realize we have no option left but to fight for everything that we're fighting for, in whatever way necessary, or we can go this peaceful trend and we have this.
The digital ID, I hate to keep harping on that, but that is the gatekeeper at this point. We got to do everything in our power to say no to that and to get rid of that. Fight hard to get rid of that, so you don't have to do that.
So
set up your systems, get your barter system set up, do whatever you got to do, but don't do that. Don't take that digital ID. I'm warning you.
Show some of your power right now before it's implemented. So you got companies like Starbucks and these companies that are going cashless. Stop
buying Starbucks.
Bankrupt them companies. Put them out of business. Make a statement, because that's what we make statements where we spend our money. It's that simple. That's why I was on the big Tim Hortons thing, not supporting Tim Hortons because they mandated the shots for the children. You know what I mean? Simple. And I was a big Tim Hortons guy. I worked there, did the fixer equipment. I'm friends with owners, like all these things, and nothing against them people. But that company, that whole mandate, so no more. But people can't even stop buying a Tim Hortons coffee. That's how ingrained in society we're just indoctrinated. It's so difficult to not buy a donut or Tim Hortons. But we can bankrupt these companies. Yes, there's people that will lose jobs and things like that will happen, but they'll be okay. There's other jobs that'll come up. Things will happen. They're crashing the society anyway on purpose. People are losing jobs.
Big things are coming this fall, guys.
So if we're not willing to risk a little bit, then we're going to lose everything.
So we're coming up to the hour here. We're at the 47-minute mark. I just want to ask everybody, if you wouldn't mind, can you put where you're from in the chat? We like to do that here at the end of the broadcast just to see where everybody's at.
Any questions?
Or any questions for myself or Gordon? Just go ahead and put them in the chat, guys. I know we got folks here from Ontario. We have some from all over the place. Of course, Turnings by Turner, Western New York. Alex is from Saskatchewan.
Anyway, reiterate, if you're near Winnipeg and you can get to the legislature grounds, go there and support it.
Please.
Make sure you go there. Or if you know people, make a phone call, send them there, support them, because they're supporting us. The Indigenous is joining with us to support us. We have to support them. And it's that simple. You know what I mean? And the women in Ottawa this weekend, I hope that event all played out. I haven't had a chance to follow up on it. I don't know if it happened yet or if they were delayed as well. So, but support these people.
Yes, please. We got Ireland in the house. Ida Hayes. I think it's Ida. Thanks for coming. We got Saskatchewan in the house. Houston, Texas. Peter. Sass Girl is from Moose Jaw. We got Krusty, my buddy Krusty from Wainwright, Alberta. See your Susan Cano from California. She's always been a great light in this fight. I appreciate her comments. Bitter Critter. Good to see you too. Menacing Muskrat from Northern Canada. Arkansas, USA. That's where Bitter Critter's from. Awesome.
Yeah, so some people that think the event was a washout, it wasn't worth going. I would say no, that's not the case. I would say it's unfortunate that it wasn't as huge as it could have been. And the reason for that is because of all the fear mongering that was put out there, and people were legitimately afraid to go there. They believed it would be a false flag. They believed we would be led to mass arrests, or we'd be led and hurt or even killed. by doing something. One funny thing that happened, as far as I know, as I understand, is that we had planned to go to the RCMP detachment in Regina, head office, and not violently take it over, but just make a stand in power and solidarity and ask for their help. And we didn't do that. That plan was scrapped quite a while ago. But my understanding is that they did spend an exorbitant amount of money and resources, having a lot of roadblocks and checks and stuff going on in that area. So uh, distraction, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe preparation. Maybe they thought we were misleading and we were going to show up there anyway. I don't know. But that just shows you the truth of what we're speaking. We said we weren't going, and we did not go. So it was not misdirection on purpose. It was not anything like that sketchy. So we said that plan was scrapped, and that plan was actually scrapped.
We got Dale Baird, Nova Scotia Rules, from an old Nova Scotia trucker. Thanks for coming, Dale. Betty Murphy, Nova Scotia.
So the other thing that we're waiting on too, and there's not a lot of information out about that, and I suspect it's on purpose because people don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but the farmers in Canada. So our season, our harvest season, is coming to an end.
About 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, within the next few weeks. It's different in every province, of course. But anyway, there is rumblings that there's a lot of these farmers that are supposed to be descending towards Ottawa as well, all at the same time. So it's like everything's coming together at once. If this happens, it's going to be huge, and we got to support everybody involved with that, because this may be our last kick at the can. That's what the event was talking about, and Marcus talked about. This might be our last chance, and this might truly be our last chance.
Absolutely could be, guys.
You know, if we get past this and they get any more things locked in on us, it's going to be so much more harder to accomplish anything with the censorship and travel bans, all these things.
So in the future, in order to attend some of these events that are critical for our own freedom, you may have to run through a checkpoint or run into the ditch around one. Yeah. So be prepared for that, guys. Yeah. I'm telling you. And
the groups out west and the DC and stuff, they're prepared to do that, and talking to them and stuff. They're not stopping for a checkpoint. And for me, it's like, okay, I get that, but it's tougher. How do you expect us from Nova Scotia to do the same thing if the meeting point is Ottawa, just as an example, when there's only 3 or 4 of us? Like, that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. I don't know about any convoys that got shut down from the East Coast, because I never met a convoy. I left probably Monday evening around supper time, when I finally got on the road after delay. But I wasn't aware of any convoy. And like I said, there is rumors that some convoys from the East Coast got turned around, although I don't even know why they would be turned around. So was that fear mongering to keep more people from thinking of going or trying to go? It could very well be. Did it happen? I have had no verification anybody has actually come out and said. Yeah, so. And Noble Bird on Telegram, again, that's the dude that's come out and spoke out about V4F, and he's the guy that said he's a V4F member who did march with James Topp for a long time, and they sent him to be a spot when they could have came.
Why spend all this effort to defeat freedom, the freedom movement? That's what it is. It's defeat.
And what kind of freedom group spies on other freedom groups when they were invited to attend and be part of it? I don't know. So it's not Veterans for Freedom. I don't know what freedom they're for. Each other. I guess I do know, but it's just to support themselves. Freedom to get money to buy bug out land. Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. To take care of themselves. And the funny thing is, the majority of the money they're taking is not from the other veterans. It's from the average Canadians that they're not willing to help at all. And they pretend to. You really think these guys are going to have your back when it gets serious? Do you really think that? At the end of the day, they're going to have a lot to answer to. So right now they got to look in the mirror. I wish they would look in the mirror at night and in the morning and really question what they're doing, because they're doing the wrong thing. But at the end of the day, when shit really gets bad and they do what we think they're doing or what I believe they're doing with their bug out property or whatever, and they leave everybody else high and dry, how are they going to answer to that? Because the people won't take it. The people will be angry. That's what's coming. So what we got to understand is the people. And a lot of the people that are actually having the wool pulled over their eyes and still wearing the veil, these people are going to be so angry. Yep. There's going to be so much hatred, so much regret, so much depression. They're going to lash out. And they're going to lash out in violent ways. That's reality. It's not going to be us that does that. These people are going to, because all of a sudden they're going to be hit in the face with a shovel with everything that we know.
Once they figure out they've been duped.
All at once. And they're going to be so mad. So many of these people are going to lash out. They're going to be attacking government officials. They're going to be doing all this stuff. That's where the real crazy world is going to start coming into play. And we got to separate from that and just allow them to run with whatever.
And what kind of a person, what kind of a human being would plan starvation on others? Mm-hmm. Actively plan it.
It's happening.
Why would they do that?
Right in front of us.
If they're for you and they have your best interest at heart, why would they try and starve you off the planet? Don't take the digital ID because if you or take it because if you don't, we're going to starve you. Yep. That's essentially what they're telling you. Yep. So are you guys okay with that? Mm-hmm. We're not.
And you say you can't do this bugs, like talking about eating crickets and all this stuff. That won't work. First of all, the human body cannot process what they call chitin is what's in these things. We can't process that. We can't digest that. And it's actually a cancerous, it feeds cancer parasites. So they think they make it like they're going to help us survive by eating bugs for protein, but we can't even process it. It's actually going to make us all sick, way sicker than ever. Cancer rates are going to continue to go through the roof. They're doing all this on purpose under the guise of self-sustainable. Or, you know what I mean? Like it's absolute insanity.
It's just craziness.
Insanity. I personally am not gonna.
If you didn't actually were in the fight for a long time and were well versed on this, like we are, you wouldn't believe it. The average person who's just new to this would not believe this at all.
Right. You read their documents; they word it quite well, so it does sound like it's all good. It's all for the good. It's all for the good. But I'm telling you, there is no sustainable,
like Agenda 2030, sustainable development. Well, what's wrong with sustainable development? It sounds awesome. It's not.
So sustainable development, and these are the same people that are poisoning the skies, that are poisoning, literally caught doing it, poisoning the rivers to kill fish.
Here in Nova Scotia.
Sustainable development. The Miramichi River in New Brunswick just last week, and the dude that caught them and took the poison from them in a live video, he took the poison. And he took it home. And what happened to him? They came and they arrested him and they charged him. They took the poison. They continued to dump it in the river.
Tusket River in Nova Scotia.
A few days later, fish kill rolling up on the beaches everywhere. This is happening all across the world. So on one hand, they're talking about sustainable development, but on the other hand, they're killing everything. So what happens to the birds that are eating these fish or the people? None of us are aware of this, right? You know what I mean? So there is no sustainable development.
I wish I could just sit here and show you vacation photos from Florida, me fishing, having a good time or something. But that's not where we're like Gordy and I, like out on a boat somewhere, kicking her back, having fun, right, with her shades on and just loving it, right? But that's not the reality.
I actually haven't had fun in a long time, and going out there wasn't fun either.
We don't enjoy this stuff, guys.
Meeting or talking to the people and stuff like that, it was good that way, but it was certainly not a vacation. I was hustling the whole time, trying to have communications and talk to people and this and that, meetings and whatever.
Guys on my channel saying, well, why don't you get back to repair videos already? Like, why wouldn't you put some more mechanical videos on and stuff, how to fix stuff? Because your ATV don't matter, bud, but my country does, right? And the people do, but your ATV doesn't matter.
Not in the big picture. That's what people are too caught up in. You know what I mean? Like the big picture, the regular stuff doesn't matter anymore. I actually have a difficult job going to work to do building a house or whatever, because really it's insignificant in what's going on in the world. And for me, there's only so many people that see it like I see it, that are willing to put themselves in front of it like I'm willing to put myself in front of it. So I have to do it because I have to afford to survive, but I don't. It seems to be a waste of my time. I feel my time is more valuable trying to come up with solutions to deal with what's going on. I hate to say fighting the system because that's almost a negative energy. So I'll say coming up with solutions. I'm trying to do that. But anyway, we got to do what we got to do. I got to go build a house. I got to go do the side, and I got to do this. It is what it is. We'll make it happen, but it just seems pointless.
Yeah.
And then same thing. You make so much money this week, $1,000, whatever you make, and then tomorrow they crash it, and it's worth nothing.
Well, if they crash the economy and they go to this cryptocurrency for cash, I'm done working. I'm retired. I won't be working. What's the point of going to a job and making money you can't spend? Because I won't be taking this digital ID. So I guess I'm going to be at home with my rifle, and I'm going to go back to hunter-gatherer days, which I'm fine with. I'm not in the least scared. I mean, if God will feed the birds and the fowl of the air, how much greater are you than all of them? He's going to feed you. He's going to make sure you get enough. I'm not scared of it. Bring it on. Bring it on. What I'm scared for is the people that can't or won't do anything to help themselves. The one that won't stockpile food because they don't believe in it, or the ones that don't have the skills that I may have in order to take care of myself. That's what we're trying to do, is to teach people to take care of themselves and get into these clans, get into groups, find your tribe. There's got to be somebody in there who knows how to hunt or how to fish, you know, how to can vegetables, how to grow vegetables. These are the types of things we need to focus our energy on, guys, right now. Not the problems. We know what the problems are. Let's focus on the solutions now, right? And one of the solutions is getting it right in your head, getting the fear out, getting the power in. That's the important thing, right?
So we got a couple things to deal with coming up. First off, it's going to be chaotic. So these people that aren't aware, they're going to be robbed, and nobody's going to go hungry at first. They're going to rob. It'll be stores, all these places. No one cares. When you make people hungry, they're going to do things that they wouldn't normally do. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be a mass amount of chaos into it. And for us that are aware and awake, or whatever you want to call it, we got to recognize that the energy and the frequency of the world is going to be so low, really low, because it's all going to be depression, anger, resentment, hatred, all of these energies, and they're all low vibrational energies. In order for us to continue to try to pick people up out of this mess, we got to keep our own energies above that. We got to really work hard on not getting sucked down into that energy.
And it's hard to do. Right? We know all too well.
You have to stay above that. And I don't know what tricks or tools or whatever it is that each one of you people can use or whatever. I'm just trying to tell you, this is what's coming. And in order to survive, you got to be up out of that energy. You can't let yourself get lowered into that low.
Don't listen to what they're telling you. They're going to come start bombarding you here in another few months, constantly, like they did back in 2020, May or June. They're going to come at you hard on the media and all these new laws and rules, and stay above it.
Yeah, mandates, everything, trucking shortages, fuel shortages, like that food shortages, like diesel engine oil shortages. And then the trucks can't run, so you got shortages here. Everything snowballs, everything snowballs, everything snowballs. The one thing you got to remember, they created every piece.
All of it.
Every piece.
And now they're here with the solution, which is digital ID, which you don't want.
Right. So that's what they do. They create the problem, they offer you the solution. And people fall for it every time. This time we got to be above that. We got to be smarter than that, and we can't fall for it. So prepare as best you can. I'm not the best at it either. It is what it is, but I'm a survivor, so it's just me. I have my worries about my kids and my grandkids, and I do everything I can to help them. But, I don't know. Things could get really bad.
I read somewhere recently where people were talking about these times and comparing them to Gideon's army in the Bible. And I think that's pretty relevant. We're building Gideon's army right now. If you look at what's going on, is we're building Gideon's army. We're going to go up against the Philistines here. That's what's happening. Yeah. Gideon's army is coming together, right?
So there's where we are. Yeah, anything could happen tomorrow. Anything could happen tonight. Everything's happening fast. It's evolving fast, and it's going to continue to evolve fast. I think they know they're losing the battle, and I think they're fast tracking it on purpose. And I know it seems like a lot's coming at us at once, but I think that is on purpose because I think they know they're losing. Too many things are happening, and I don't. They're recognizing our strength. They know what we're doing before we do it. They know about the natives coming. They know about
they know it all
this stuff.
Please share these videos, guys. If you want the word to get out, it's being censored everywhere. Not a squeak about the Canada 911 in any of the media coverage in the States or Canada. There's only very few trusted news centers out there. If you want us to continue what we're doing and you want the truth and you want it to be heard by other people, then please do your part. Share the video. Share it with people that may not even like it. They may even oust you for it, but get it out there so that they know the truth. And we're not doing this for our health, guys. All right. We're not doing it because we're making millions of dollars on YouTube either. I can assure you that. All right. That's not the case.
Yeah. Everything. That's it. Everything. Electric cars, all this stuff. Now they bought electric planes in Canada. You know what I mean? There's so much crap.
And that technology doesn't work. It's not together enough yet.
Do you want to jump in an electric airplane and fly across Canada? It's 3,500 kilometers from Nova Scotia to Manitoba. That's halfway. So do you think you might want to jump in Halifax and take a flight to Vancouver in an electric airplane and trust that you're going to get there? when you can't even trust that the cars will drive it. Like,
a lot of people are waiting for the fall election to happen. They think that's going to be their savior.
yeah,
I'm here to tell you it's not.
it's an
Okay.
evolution.
That is all false.
And that's going to be the start of bad energy, because people are going to realize after that happens, and whoever wins, which Pierre is probably going to be the guy because he's already been selected, I believe. Everybody's going to, oh my God, I can't believe I believed in him. I fell for this. You know what I mean? Then they're going to be angry. Like, well, we've been telling you for months and months and months. The system's not designed to help us. He says whatever he needs to say to get elected, to get his place. You know what I mean? All these people don't even realize they paid money. People paid money to join the party, to have a right to vote for him to be the leader of the party. So they took money out of their pocket to vote for him to be a leader of the party. When he becomes a leader of the party, he also got a raise in the tens of thousands of dollars, because now he's a leader of the party in Parliament. And this is how dumb people are, and unknowledgeable. And you're paying. So we have to pay to have a right to vote. That's democracy. That's a system that serves us.
I want no part of it.
There's no logic to any of that. Like, just these simple little examples all over the place. And why can't people see that? $15 to be a member of the Conservative Party, to have the right to vote for Pierre Poilievre.
To have the right to vote.
You know
Think
what I
about
mean?
that for a second.
Exactly.
A man gives you a right to vote?
I know, right? And then this guy is going to be the savior. No, man. Like, there's no logic to none of that. None of that. There's no logic to it. And people got to start seeing these little examples. I don't know why I can see them, and most people can't. And I have friends that say, and I tell them, you guys are crazy, you know, and they're good people. But you're paying to vote for somebody, to have a right to vote for somebody. And that's supposed to be a democracy, a free country where we have a say. We don't have a say. It's a joke, man. We don't have a say.
You have the illusion of a choice.
So we need to get de jure government or resource management, tear this system down from the top down, completely tear it down, and rebuild it to serve us. And people say, how do you do that? It's going to be chaotic. And I just say this. This is it. Simple. I would much rather go through the hardships of rebuilding the country and the systems to actually benefit the people like ourselves than I would rather just sit here and take on the hardships that they're going to put upon us anyway. Because at least my way, I'm moving towards something rather than just sitting here accepting everything I do.
And this is all temporary, and we know that God's coming back, and this is just temporary. But I mean, I really feel like while we're here on the earth and we're still alive, we still have blood running through our veins and our heart's still pumping, that we got to do things. We got to get off of our fear and indoctrinated ways and move towards the light, and move towards helping your fellow human being, and be real, right? And share the truth, the scary truth that nobody wants to talk about. The elephant in the room, right?
We've talked about this a lot too, him and I. And I'm not religious. I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in doing the right thing and that kind of stuff. That's where I'm at. There's a creator, God, whatever you call it, universe. I don't know. I don't know the answers, but I believe in good. So simple as that. But I do believe in this as well. And Crow and I have talked about this. Any savior, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, it doesn't matter who it is to you. It doesn't matter. I do not believe that a savior would save people that will not fight for themselves.
And I think that when you close your eyes for the last time on this earth, you're going to have to look your creator in the face, and you're going to have to look him eye to eye, face to face, and you're going to have to explain to him why you did the things you did on the earth,
or why you did not,
or why you didn't do them.
Right.
I want to have good answers.
That's it. That's my belief. I don't believe a savior will save you if you're not willing to save yourself. I believe that they will help you if you need help and you're walking the path. But if you're not doing anything and you're sitting waiting for someone to come and make everything okay again, and I don't think that they would save those people.
Gorilla Press says, "Older the bull, the stiffer the horn." Yeah, you betcha.
So this is where we're at now, anyway. And as more comes out, we'll stay in touch. I'll continue to update. You know, now that Sean's got me as part of this, and you people, I'll continue to update everything that I get.
Yep.
From Sipico. I'll find out some more information tonight.
We love you guys. That's why we're doing it.
I'm sure there'll be some more tomorrow, with dates and more times and more concrete timelines and things like that. But we gotta move forward. We gotta do whatever we do. One thing you can all do right now, from this moment, right now: stand in your truth. Stand in your truth. Know who you are, and use nothing but cash. Yep. Nothing but cash. No debit, no anything.
Dollar bills. Cash. You guys from the United States want to see what a Canadian $50 bill looks like?
It's worth about $30 in American.
Yeah.
Yeah. cash.
Phony baloney money, I call it. It's really nothing,
And
but it's accepted
interestingly
as
enough,
value.
It looks the same as your birth certificate as well. The exact same paper, the exact same transparency. So there you go again with that whole scenario.
But shed the message, guys. You know, we're not here just speaking because we got nothing better to do on this Sunday afternoon. Believe me, we got lots to do. We're behind in everything.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Yeah, I still got to fix the heater in my RV for the winter. Living off grid or whatever, so I got lots to do. My car's got to be fixed now, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, we're here, and we'll continue to be here, spreading the message, sharing the truth, and hopefully it helps.
Yeah, God's peace and love to all you
Thanks
guys.
to everybody that helped make this all happen.
Yes, thank you very much for the donations that come in to help Gordy get there.
I'll go through all that paperwork tonight and give you an accounting
Yep.
of that next time.
We appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
Everybody has a part to play. I really believe in this. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the same part as someone else. It can be something entirely different, but it all matters. Everything, every action you do matters. Just by paying for cash and going out of your way to do that, it puts a giant thorn right in their side, right? And it matters that you did that.
Just a ripple, one pebble creates ripple.
Right? So take care. We love you guys. God's peace to all of you.
Much love.
Much love. Cheers.